Why don't they do as they're told? I mean, right from day one, the young are told by the old, be honest, work hard and you'll be duly rewarded. That's why nurses ride buses and estate agents drive Porsches. Learn to share and be grateful for what you got. It's not nice to be greedy and to grab and run along and watch 10 minutes of TV wrapped around 30 minutes of ads. And don't ever let me catch you writing on the wall, or you can be sure you're going to pay, because writing your name up in spray is a very serious crime. But that 20-foot billboard next to it screaming buy another car, that one is fine. So you have to bear in mind they've paid a lot to get that spot in your line of sight and in your consciousness, that when you can expect to collect that check, I can't make any promises. Now young girls, when you go to school, be sure to follow all the rules without fail. That means no makeup and no painted nails. And don't wear your skirts too short. Try to keep your thoughts on your books. That's what's going to serve you in life, not your looks or being popular or cool. And then when you're on your way home from school, you can read any one of your favourite magazines, all marketed at teens, all about how we make goddesses and queens that have women with necklines as low as their self-esteem, and self-esteem as low as their IQ, whose sole purpose seems to be to provide you with the message, if you don't wear your ribs on the outside, you're overweight. And even if you can't starve yourself into shape, there's plenty of surgical options you can take. Now guys, I'm talking to you too. I know right now you think it's all about trainers and phones and the right brand on your clothes, but as any wise old adult knows, and will take any chance to remind you, appearances don't count, what matters is what's inside you. But oh, this really isn't good. I see you sometimes like to wear a top that comes with a hood. And please tell me these rumours aren't true. You like to hang out with other kids the same age as you, outdoors, in public. Well then you know what this means. Once you start to hit about 14, people can start judging you and begrudging you based on not knowing you, based on what they've seen between the pages of the Sun and the Mail. And you might find that the elderly and frail become paranoid and tend to avoid you and walk into areas that are poorly lit. And you might find that in-store security guards start to swarm around you like flies around shit. And you might be thinking, this is outrageous. I've never committed a crime or been in the papers. This kind of treatment seems a little rough. But you see someone who looks like you has, son. And to most people that's good enough. So I'd be a bit less concerned about downloading that ringtone and a little more worried about that inconvenient skin tone, because there's no easy way to say this, but you are just not Caucasian. And that means you can look forward to up to 5 times more chance of incarceration, up to 7 times more of stop and search without explanation. But don't let that make you feel all bitter and resentful inside, because like we always told you, right, nothing to fear if you've got nothing to hide. And that gang of yours, in which you take such pride with the postcodes and pit bulls and a puff and a patois and the feeling you belong, that's plain wrong. But the other gang, with the cars and the money, and the helicopters and horses and dogs and guns and tasers and mace and the DNA database and cameras in every corner of your community who can kill with impunity, that's plain right. And when you got into that fight over what that guy said about your mum, that was dumb, and you should have known better than to go pursuing such petty vendettas. But when a man gets cut down by 8 rounds for wearing a big jacket and running on the underground, or when a pre-dawn raid smashes down your door, puts one on your shoulder and pins you to the floor for nothing more than a mistaken address, or when a 47-year-old father of 9 gets pushed to his death for walking home from work on the same day as a protest, that's called keeping the peace. And nobody ever gets busted, so why can't people see the police should always be trusted? And I wonder, when those Londoners went burning and looting and helping themselves to what they please, if they learned that from listening to rap or from their history GCSEs, from back when half the world map was coloured in pink. Maybe they were taught that way to think by watching the government send its armed forces to lay down their lives liberating those poor, defenceless natural resources. And please, let's not succumb to amnesia, and forget that pre-Mugabe Zimbabwe was known as Rhodesia, named after the man who pulled the greatest diamond heist of all time. They didn't use a sledgehammer and a moped, they just used slaves to go down mines. But they didn't give him a fine, a tag round his ankle, or serve him an ASBO. They didn't send him to the gallows or even the cells. They just gave him a knighthood, a university and a country as well. But don't worry, because that ugly business of slavery is long gone. Just don't ask where your laptop, your phone or your iPod came from, or why Foxconn, the factory that produced it, finds it conducive to business to have anti-suicide nets around the outside of the building. There's a lesson here, children. Haven't you learnt yours yet? Take what the fuck you want, just not from your own doorstep. So don't pout and protest and grumble and bitch. Shouldn't you be at work anyway, pissing away the day for minimum pay, making someone else rich? And if you keep it up till you're about 300, who knows, maybe one day you'll even get a pension. Just be a good sport and promise not to mention the big in-joke that since the beginning of time all us adults have known, that kids don't learn from what they're told, they learn from what they're shown.